Wow. So what about these sons? He has Isaac, but Isaac is like 37 years old and he's not even married and has no children either. So we have Isaac and Abraham's thinking, it's about time, Isaac, that you get married. It's about time. So Abraham, another thing happened, before this even happened. You see, Isaac was probably pretty attached to his mother, and Sarah died. Another thing that probably made Isaac pretty sad, you can imagine. And so Abraham went and purchased this piece of land. Since then, Abraham has had no land at all. So he purchases this land, and it's at Machpelah. Very important, because Machpelah is going to be where a lot of the descendants of Abraham are buried. And he bought this land. He paid for it from a Hittite man, 400 shekels. And then he went, and again, Isaac was pretty sad, said, I really miss my mom, even though he's like 37 years old. So he said, let's really go out. I'm going to send my servant to find you the wife that God wants for you. One wife that God wants for you. Not a bunch, just one. Because that's the way God's way is. One wife and one husband, So he went and he sent his servant, and his servant brought 10 camels and went back into the land of where Abraham's descendants were, to find some relatives of Abraham. So the servant prayed, and he thought, I have these 10 camels, and they're getting awful tired. So I'm going to take them to this well. And he prayed. I said, Lord, will you show me? And he thought, maybe the one woman that comes running, this woman, maybe I'll know. He said, yes, I'll know this woman. She'll be the one. The woman that will come to bring water for my camels. And so as the camels went, they were very tired. And so he had the camels actually kneel down, which is kind of unusual. But he had them all at the well, and they were just famished. And this young woman comes running, and she goes, oh, your camels need some water. And so she starts bringing water to water his camels. And he thought, just the way God had showed him. He came and he gave her a gold ring and bracelets and said she was the one to be the wife. To be the wife of Isaac. Abraham's and Isaac were there, and Isaac was his master. You'd think she would say, I wonder what he looks like. Hope he's handsome or something. No, but she discussed it, and in her heart she knew she was supposed to go. So she went, veiled herself so that he wouldn't even see her, and she was very beautiful. And so she went there, and she married Isaac, and she comforted Isaac. Her name was Rebecca. So the story goes on from Rebecca, and we go on in your book, and it's kind of quick because there's a lot of parts in the Bible. It kind of skips over. But we go into, from Rebecca and Isaac as Abraham's grandsons. Well, how many grandsons did he have? Well, again, Rebecca and Isaac, it was 20 years and they had no children. And they thought that they would not have any children until suddenly she did become pregnant. And she had 2 twin boys. Abraham had died at this time, and he was 175 years old. But these twins, he maybe got to see the twins before, but I think that he had passed away first. And these twins were named Esau and Jacob. And so we go on with Esau and Jacob. Well, Esau, He was born first, even they were twins, but he came out first, and he was red and hairy, and he grew up to be a man's man, and he went out there, he was a hunter, and he came in with his flock, and of course, Isaac liked Esau the best. Jacob, he wasn't hairy, he was smooth, and he liked to cook, and he kind of hung out with his mother Rebecca a lot. But he was the second. You see, the birthright went to the firstborn, would go to Esau. His birthright and his blessing. He would get it, not Jacob. Well, of course, Rebecca didn't like that idea because Jacob was her favorite. And she did not care for Esau. And what is going on here? Isaac was getting older and he couldn't see very well. And so she thought, let's do something about this. Well, even before this, they thought, and Jacob thought about it, and he said, how can I get the birthright? So he thought, well, maybe Esau will sell me the birthright. Remember, there was a birthright and a blessing. And so Esau came in, he was famished, he was hungry, and as he came in to meet, he saw Jacob was a good cook with his mom, and they were cooking up some really good stew, some soup. It smelled really good. And so he said, I'm going to die if I don't get something to eat. I'm hungry right now. Give me something to eat. And so Jacob said, I'll give you something if you sell me your birthright. I'll give you some soup for it. So, what in the world do I care about my birthright if I'm so hungry I feel like I'm going to die? And so he sold his birthright for a bowl of soup. So Jacob had his birthright, which meant that he would get all of the inheritance of Isaac. So you can imagine Esau was pretty sad with that, but he also had the blessing. And that's when Rebecca and Jacob, I say Rebecca did most of it, the mother, she connived so that Jacob would get also the blessing. And that was a blessing from God. And so they knew that Isaac was almost blind, like I said, and he sat there, and he was going to give the blessing before he died, although he thought he was going to die, but he lived a lot longer. And so, but he had this blessing, and he was going to bless. He was going to give this blessing to Esau, who was his favorite one and the firstborn. So instead, she said, you know what, Jacob, let's put some sheep hair on your arms and kind of get you smelled up a little bit here and everything, and, so that you kind of look and try to talk like Esau talks, and let's go in. Your father's giving the blessing, and he's going to think you're Esau. So they tricked him. And so they went in, and Isaac did indeed think that Jacob was Esau. He said, oh, you feel like Esau, but your voice is a little different. Are you really Esau? He kind of thought in his mind. And they thought, oh, no, you smell like Esau. And he said, okay. So he blessed and gave the blessing to Jacob, who was disguised as Esau. So now Jacob had Esau's birthright and the blessing. You can imagine how when Esau came home and said, what? What is going on? And his dad said, I'm sorry. I thought it was you, but it was Jacob. And so he was really mad and he wanted to kill Jacob. And so Jacob was told by his mother, Rebecca, to run. Man on the run. So he ran. And then Rebecca, of course, she ended up being very sorrowful because she had to spend the rest of her life mainly with Esau and his wives. And she didn't like them at all. They were Hittite wives. They didn't believe in God, for one thing. And they were on the rough side, rednecks, you would call them, probably. And then he even married one of Ishmael's daughters, who she liked even worse. And so Rebecca had kind of a sad rest of her life, and she never did get to see her favorite son Jacob again. So Jacob's man on the run. Now we get to see about Jacob. Very, very important story in history and in the Bible. Jacob is this important man. Although Jacob, we find, was a conniver. He had he had no idea about God at all. He was just running and doing what he wanted to do. But then God's going to get a hold of his heart and his soul and change his name to a very important name of people of God's promised people, Israel. God will change his name and change Jacob's heart. How cool is that? Let's take another break, eh?